Okay, good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Rutherford Board of Education. I'd like to ask everyone who can stand to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. So in accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Rutherford Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published and to have the date and time placed on the bulletin board outside the Borough Clerk's office, mailed to the Herald, South Fergusonite, and Record newspapers, and filed with the Borough Clerk. Hard copies of the agenda are available in the meeting room, and the agenda has been posted electronically on Friday before the board meeting's date on the district's website. Subsequent to this meeting, a video of the meeting will be uploaded to the district's website at www.rutherfordschools.org. The video link can be found by opening the Board of Education link by clicking on the public meetings and then videos. At this time, I would like to submit the minutes from our regular meeting of August 19th. Oh, I'm sorry. Cool. Can you call roll call, please?
Mr. Bogosian?
Present.
Mrs. Cole?
Present.
Mr. Conti?
Present.
Mr. Healy?
Here.
Mrs. Jones?
Present.
Mr. Mazzone?
Present.
Dr. Racine?
Here.
Mr. Sprague?
Present.
And Dr. Alati.
Less important. Thank you. Clearly I got ahead of myself, so thank you.
We got you, buddy. We
Thank
got you.
Mr.
We got you.
Bogosian. Now I'd like to request to move and approve the minutes from our regular meeting of August 19th, 2024, unless there are any edits.
Good
To move those, please.
Just love to see.
Now I'd like to move to the report of the superintendent.
Student rep first.
I'm sorry.
Super.
Oh, I apologize. So I'd like to move to the report of the student representative, and I'd like to start by welcoming you to our meeting. So if you might want to introduce yourself, we're just grateful to have you here.
Thank you. My name is Sarah Ioria. I'm a junior here, obviously. So my report, so the schools are open now. Everyone's really excited to be back. You can definitely see everyone smiling in the hallways. The fall sports are off to a great start. Boys soccer and girls volleyball both won their first games. And the fall pep rally is this Friday, September 13th, which also is the first home football game. Everyone's really looking forward to that. Next week, Thursday the 19th, is back to school night and 9th grade parent orientation. And then we also have student council doing freshman elections and homecoming elections for the homecoming court. The homecoming dance, the parade, and the game are coming up on October 4th and 5th.
Great. Thank you so very much. Have you done this before?
No, it's my first.
Okay. It seems like a really comprehensive report. So we appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to you being with us this year.
Yes, me too.
Great. Any other board members comment? Okay. We'll move on to the report of the superintendent.
Thank you. Sarah, as you know, is her first year now as the board rep. And that is just in case you're not familiar how that works. When the executive board of the student council is elected every spring, students can run for that office the same as they run for student council president or vice president, et cetera. And Sarah's elected. And we've had now a couple of years where we've had an underclassman, right, get the election, which is good, because then if they do run again, get elected again, we have the benefit of that experience. So Sarah, you're off to a great start, so thank you. I have a couple of things I need to go over. I'll get to the opening of school in a moment, but embedded in the agenda is the student safety data system incident report and HIB trainings for the past school year. As you probably remember, I report on the first period, which runs from September 1st to December 31st. I do that at a meeting, usually sometime in January or February. Then I report on the second reporting period, which runs to June 24th. And then the state issues the final numbers for the year. So they are in the agenda. And as I say, every year, the numbers, although we'd like to have no suspensions that we have to report or no incidents that we have to report, the numbers are not alarming or not concerning. When you go over 6 buildings, 186 days with nearly 3,000 students. So to have 6 total incidents of some kind of a physical altercation in a school year, 1 suspension due to vandalism, 14 for substances, 2 for weapons, and in both cases they were pocket knives, 12 HIB confirmed, and the other incidents leads removal, which do not get reported, of 132. Those are things like excessive cuts or latencies or, maybe improper language or things like that. The reports on the SSDS system are things like violence, vandalism, and the like. Okay? So most of this information has been shared publicly with the board before. It's just, again, statutorily at the end of the year I have to give the final report. We had a really outstanding opening to school. I really, most openings are good. If opening day, well, I say this now as a Giant fan, most opening days are good. Not all opening days are good. But if opening day isn't good, it's going to be a long year. So that I can say as a Giant fan. But I thought this one was particularly good. There was a high level of energy. I think the weather has something to do with it, even though the buildings are air conditioned for the most part. It was crisp, it was fall-like. We had I think a very good opening meeting, and I think the energy throughout the buildings were outstanding. I got to every building and to many classrooms on the first day the students were in, and it's the thing that I really do appreciate is it's no longer, well, it was like, when I was first teaching and when we were in school, where the first day is everybody hears the classroom rules and, all the procedure, and here's your books. And, I used to remind teachers, they're going to hear that 7 times a day in high school or middle school. There were lessons going on in every class. There was energy in every class. There was a lot of excitement. So we were off to a really good start. And I do want to commend, as I mentioned in the communication, we had a lot of key people that we have new people in key positions, starting, with our BA here and head custodians to get the building ready and principals and assistant principals and directors. And we didn't really miss a beat. It was, everything was off to a great start. And I'm pleased to report we're already 3 days in with students and 5 days in with faculty, and we're still doing pretty well. So things are going in the right direction. This week, with the commemoration of September 11th, as we now have moved, almost a quarter of a century away, it's become more history than it's become like it was the first few years in terms of, but that doesn't mean things are not happening throughout the district. And I just mentioned 2 of note. Tomorrow, J.D. DeSantis, who some of you might know, he's was a Rutherford resident. I'm not sure if he still lives here. His students were in the high school when I was the principal here. He is a retired medic, fire captain from the New York City Fire Department. And he has spent a considerable amount of time for several months during 9/11. And he is now retired, and he has gone around just because he feels it's important. He doesn't get a fee for it. To schools, and he does presentations, and he's done many schools in the area. So he's going to be here tomorrow at the high school doing a presentation to the junior class. There'll be a morning and an afternoon assembly to the juniors. Ms. Yoda, who is a supervisor, and Mr. Morano, the principal, felt that based on the curriculum and so on, that was probably the best age group to do it with. And then, in the elementary schools and the other schools, there's an appropriate kind of commemoration. I'll give you the example of the kindergarten center, where every year EMTs, ambulance, fire, police from Rutherford go down to the kindergarten center in the afternoon, and it's high five for hometown heroes, they call it, and the kids you go out and thank those folks for what they do, but also get to see the fire trucks and the police cars and the ambulances, and get an idea of, from an educational standpoint, what it's all about. And our choir, the high school choir, will be singing as they do just about every year at the ceremony the borough has on September 11th. I believe it begins at 5:30 at Lincoln Park. Also this week, we start our back-to-school nights. The kindergarten center is Wednesday, and Union School is Thursday, and they continue next week. So that, again, is a good opportunity for us, the teachers and the parents, to meet and develop a partnership. I do want to mention that this year we will be up for the quantitative single accountability continuum, otherwise known as CUSAC, which comes every 3 years. And CUSAC is kind of an audit, for lack of a better word, for the entire district. It covers very deep dive. I mean, it's 5 months of preparation of documentation that the state will review, in addition to the on-site visit. Instruction and program, fiscal management, operations, governance, and personnel. And the manual that we have to hit all the topics is about 120 pages. So it's a pretty extensive program. There is a committee who has a small but important job, and that job is to meet with the administration, probably in October or so, to go over the self-assessment that we work on. Because the way CUSAC works is we submit a self-assessment, then the state takes that and looks at all the data to see if our self-assessment was accurate, and they come in and they give a final score. There is a board member that represents on that committee. Mrs. Jones has done that twice in the past, and if there are no objections, I would ask her to continue. And Ms. Jones, I'll send you, we don't have dates yet because I'm still waiting on some information from but it'll probably be the end of September, early October. And of course, the annual audit of the finances has Mr. Rutherford, right at the end of this month, the auditor will be coming in to conduct the annual audit. So we have a lot of things going on in terms of beyond the usual. I find that the CUSAC process, although anytime you're being evaluated and monitored, there's always that sense of, I hope everything goes well, and it always seems to go very well, and it should go very well. It does make you take a deep dive into every item that you do, and you find little things that you can always say, we could do that a little bit better, or we did it, but maybe we need to address it a little differently. So this self-reflection piece, even though it's a lot of work for a lot of people, I think is a very valuable tool for us to go through. Yeah. So I'll keep you apprised of that as we go along. And just a real quick mention, I'll be talking about this a little bit, a couple of the back-to-school nights. I will speak at meetings, so the opening meeting briefly, and the couples that don't have the meeting, I'll be having a video presentation. But one of the things I do want to mention, there's been a lot of discussion this summer, about smartphones and internet use by school-age children. A lot of it stems from a book which I read, and I encourage you to read it, especially if you have children, young children. The Anxious Generation by Jonathan. I hope I say his name right. Haidt. I don't know if it's Haidt or Haidt, but it's a really well-received, much talked about book. If you've been seeing any of the news stories or news pieces about the use of cell phones with young kids, it's generated from this book, and it's well researched. You look at the book and you say, wow, it's, whatever, 350 pages, about 100 of the pages are those documents, footnotes that he's showing you where he's getting his data from. But the bottom line is, he cites very, very directly and with a lot of statistical background and also anecdotal background, the tremendous rise in depression, anxiety, hospitalizations, suicide attempts, suicides. I mean, he uses real data. and the tremendous spike since 2010, which also coincides with the spike in the smartphone. And he also talks about the change from when many of us might have been young, or maybe even some of our kids were young, with what you could call free play, where kids went out and they chose up sides, they refereed their own game, they settled their own disputes, maybe sometimes not in the best fashion, but they settled their own disputes. And they developed what, we now call executive functioning skills. We give everything a fancy name, but executive functioning skills is being able to make decisions, be creative, be critical, settle disputes. And he cites in the book how there's been a decline, as we see in our students, where we have school goals this year for executive functioning skills, which, quite honestly, 20 years ago, people would have looked at you like, what? So nothing is 100%, gospel, right? But the book is a good read, and we're going to give the book, and we've already given the book, to all of our counselors and to our administrators and our supervisors. And we will be working on a Parent Academy program at some point this year that will address some of the topics raised in the book and address it from our perspective. And the one thing I just want to add, I'm reading, stories in the paper about how this school district's not going to allow elementary kids to have phones anymore. Well, we don't allow elementary kids to have phones, or middle school kids. And I'm not saying there aren't kids who sneak them around and get them in, but they're not allowed to have them. And in the high school, they could have them between the passing of classes, which, by the way, the book is saying at high school there could be some different set of rules. But they're not supposed to have them during class, and we have caddies and things like that. The thing that we really want to do the Parent Academy on is, even if we separate 7 hours of a day of a student not being on the phone nonstop, there are 17 hours in the day. Okay, this has to be a partnership with parents. It has to be really even more of a parental understanding, which is why we want to do the Parent Academy. And we have seen in the report I gave you tonight, the handful of fights, for lack of a better word, the HIB allegations. I would say 80% of them are things that are happening at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night on whatever they're on, whether it's, Twitter or X now, I guess, or, whatever, TikTok, or just texting each other that carry over and into the next day. So I think it's a really important conversation to have, and we're going to have it in district with, we thought we invested some professional development by getting all the folks the book, and we're going to try to come up with a program to have it in the community with the Parent Academy. Okay? So
what was the name of the book?
that's my report.
What was the name of the book?
It's called The Anxious Generation.
That's my word.
Okay? And and I don't say this, but as a former teacher of English, I know that, and I'll date myself with what I'm about to say, most of my students read the book, and some of them read the Cliff Notes, right? If you remember Cliff Notes. But at the back of every chapter, he gives a summation as well. So if you're reading it and you say, wow, I missed something, or you want to just get a sense for it, at the back of every chapter, he gives a very thorough bullet point summation of what was in the chapter. And I think it's, again, there are things you could dispute and we could debate points he raises, but being someone who, is a parent, a grandparent, but also someone who's been around students for a long, long time, I find a lot of validity and a lot of concern in what he brings up. Okay?
Thank you. Any comments or questions, anything, the superintendent's report? If not, I'll provide the report to the president. Sergio does send his regrets. Obviously, he can't be here this evening with everyone. He does, and I'm sure, as we all do, want to acknowledge the beginning of the academic year, the school year, and wishing all of our students the best of luck, and, to our new administrators and faculty, much success for a great academic year. Sarah, I know Sergio wanted me to make sure we personally, welcomed you to the meeting. General rules, we don't hold you the whole time. We'll give you an opportunity at some point this evening if you want to leave, and you may want to stay, but if you want to leave because maybe you have homework or other pressing matters, you'll be able to head out.
Why is Poppy laughing at that?
Because she would have been longer.
Yeah, she's.
I was going to say, could Poppy stay to the end all the
Yeah,
time?
yeah. She's saying, I spoke so long tonight, why am I speaking so long?
Exactly. And since we mentioned Poppy, I do know that Sergio sends his regrets. I wanted to read, if it's okay, embarrass you, what he wrote to you briefly. Sergio said, and Sarah, this may set the bar. So, your board reports have always been thorough and well-rounded, full of school spirit that is the hallmark of what makes RHS so special. Thank you for your time and your efforts in preparing board reports, and best of luck on taking on the student council president role this year. So, I think that's great. I think it's time for a round of applause. And the only other matter for the president was to remind all board members of homecoming parade. I think Sarah, you gave us that in your report on the 5th, and game. So if you could, like to have as many in attendance as possible.
Okay. Sarah, maybe you know, or Poppy, maybe you know, I think the game and parade are a little later this year, right? It's the SAT Saturday, do you know that?
Let's spread it. I didn't say service you.
Yeah, the parade starts at like closer to 2, because the game's going to be around 3-ish, because it's an SAT Saturday.
In the morning.
Yeah, SATs in the morning, yeah.
It's hot.
All right, questions? Okay, if there's none, the time is now 7:21, and I'd like to open the meeting up to the public for agenda item. Okay, at 7:21, I'd like to close the meeting for the public and move into new business where action will be taken. Mrs. Cole, I'd like to ask you to do item 1, if we could do that separate first.
Yeah, okay. All right, good evening. Personnel did not meet this month for a meeting. Tonight we have 20 motions to be put forward at the recommendation of the superintendent. I'm just going to do number 1, which is to honor Poppy Bimson for service as the Rutherford Board of Education student rep for the 2022-2023 school year and 2023 to 2024 school year.
Yeah.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Mr. Sprayberry?
It was awesome watching you last year. Your updates were amazing. Your smile always comes in positive. So it's nice for the board and time. And yeah, so thank you. You were on it last year with us.
Any other board member?
It's been lovely sitting next to you. I'm not going to hope that you have a super senior year. I know you're going to have this great senior year. Wishing you continued success, and we can't wait to hear what college you choose come May, June, okay?
Hello, sir.
Mrs. Jones?
I'd just like to reiterate that. We've enjoyed Poppy for 2 years. I was kind of disappointed she didn't want to go for it, but president of the student council, obviously. And we welcome Sarah. I know she's going to be just as wonderful as Poppy was.
All right, well, Poppy, you will be missed. You've done great things in your role as the board rep, and we have something, before we do it,
It's a roll call, yes.
please call the roll.
Mr. Bogosian? Yes. Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Absolutely.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzone?
Yes.
Dr. Racine?
Yes.
Mr. Sprayberry?
Second, absolutely.
Now we
Motion carried.
Yeah. So, Poppy, the board is going to present you with a little something. So, Mr. Mazzone will present it to you. So, congratulations, and thank you for representing the student body so well.
Oh, we take it. Are we taking a picture?
Yeah, you got a picture.
Picture.
Oh, you got a picture.
It's hard.
Picture, not to death.
And Poppy, did we win?
No.
No. All right. I'm sorry I asked. Mr. Mackey, please erase that from the video.
Family redemption. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Doc. And this is Sarah's cue that she could. You could.
Sarah, you may leave now, if you like, or you can stay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The record Poppy never stayed.
All 2 years she never stayed.
But you watch the video later. too.
Yeah.
It was all the homework.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now we'll continue with personnel.
Okay, so we'll be going back into new business, and this is called to please continue with personnel.
Sure. Number 2 is to accept a resignation. Number 3 is to approve an elementary teacher at Pierpont School. Number 4 is to rescind a teacher assistant at the high school. Number 5 is to approve a leave replacement elementary school special education teacher. Number 6 is to approve a long-term substitute. Number 7 is to approve a lunch monitor. Number 8 is to approve another lunch monitor. Number 9 and 10 is to approve the following level changes as listed. Oh, I'm sorry. Number 10 is to approve the following counselors for the Bulldog Care Program as listed. Number 11 and number 12 is to approve disability leaves with pay. Number 13 is to approve vacation day payout. Number 14 is to approve Title I instructors as listed. Number 15 is to approve the following coaching assignments as listed. Number 16 is to approve the following high school co-curricular assignments and stipends as listed. Number 17 is to approve the following service providers as listed. Number 18 is to approve the following substitute teachers as listed. Number 19, to approve the following substitute teacher assistants as listed. And number 20 is to approve the following travel reimbursements as listed.
Thank you. Superintendent, Carolyn, comment?
No, other than to say that, I know from around the county, from my colleagues, there are a lot of people scrambling right now to find positions, and I'm pleased that we are fully staffed. So it's been a tough year for hiring, and we are fully staffed, so we're very pleased with that.
Great. Any questions or comments from board members? Okay, not hearing any. If you'd like to move those motions, please.
I'd like to move motions 1 through 20 under personnel. 2 through 20.
Second.
Through 20.
Yeah.
Mr. Bogosian?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzone?
Yes.
Dr. Racine?
Yes.
Mr. Sprayberry?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. We move on to curriculum and instruction. Mrs. Jones?
Thank you. We did not have a curriculum and instruction meeting in the last month. And tonight there are 6 motions on the agenda that have been put at the recommendation of the superintendent. Number 1, board goals. 2, out-of-district placements. 3, speech language services. 4, field trips. And 5, anti-bullying Bill of Rights. And 6, Bergen Tech Academy. I just like to note that when you look at all these, there are 31 students going to Hackensack, 14 to Paramus, 32 to Teterboro, 5 to Applied Technology, and 2 to Interactive Design Technology, for a total of 84. That's very impressive. That's all the motions.
Thank you. Mr. Cole?
Just so for clarification on number 5, again, this is something I report probably 2-3 times a year under code. I have to. We have to do a self-reflection on the training that we do for staff and the programs we do for students, and whether we follow all the procedural requirements for reporting and investigating any HIBs, and the score of 74.6, which are a self-assessment based on a total possible score of 78. So what this motion is saying is, this is what the HIB team did in their self-reflection. The board is authorizing me submitting that to the state. Then the state will review what we submit, and they'll come back either agreeing to our numbers or suggesting a change in numbers, and then I'll come back and report that again. Okay, so just for clarification. This allows us to submit that report.
Very good. Questions or comments from board members? Mrs. Jones, would you move those motions?
I move motions 1 through 6 under curriculum and instruction.
Yep. The first and second. Mrs. Cole and Mr. Healy, please.
Mr. Bogosian?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzone?
Yes.
Dr. Racine?
Yes.
Mr. Sprayberry?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. Moving on to finance, Mr. Bogosian.
We have not had a finance committee meeting since our last full board meeting. Tonight on the agenda, we have 5 motions to consider. Number 1 is the routine approval of bills. Number 2 is to approve a lease purchase financing agreement for network switches not to exceed $340,000. Number 3 is to approve a lease purchase finance agreement for a school vehicle not to exceed $82,000. Number 4 is to accept a proposal for landscaping services across the district at a cost not to exceed $94,440. And number 5 is to approve the renewal of our custodial services agreement with Aramark at a cost not to exceed $1.2 million or so.
Thank you. Mr. Hurley and Mr. Whitford, any comments?
Mr. Whitford, you want to?
To elaborate on the lease purchase for technology, it's a pretty substantial purchase, it's $340,000 in total. It was products and services for Meraki switches, which is to increase or update our technology infrastructure last year. From what I'm told, it was very much needed, and it is a very, very useful tool for our technology department and our infrastructure to make sure our Chromebooks are working, the teacher's Wi-Fi network, and so on. So one of the tools for financing is to look for lease opportunities for these large purchases so the district's budget doesn't have to take out $340,000 in one shot. So this bid was to seek interest rates for leases to be able to break up this $340,000 into 5-year lease payments to keep the budget impact at a minimal while still getting those products and services that we needed.
And it's lease to own. We pay the dollar at the end.
Yeah, it's leased out.
Yeah, and this has been our standard procedure with most of our technology over the last maybe 10 years, because with a 2% cap and other big ticket items that we have to spend, you really can't do it. And one of the reasons why I think we've stayed pretty much on top of our technology is because we've been leasing. And this is part of the items that we talked about, I guess, 2 years ago in strategic planning with the IT people. And as you know, there's a couple of other big ticket items that are coming in the next 2 years, which we'll see some more. Okay? I don't know if you want to mention the truck or
The truck, we did get a
REF.
the REF grant last school year to at least support the purchase of that truck. So the marching band did get the truck, which is parked right outside. I do have a rendering of the marching band and Bulldog logo that's going to go on the truck. It looks very nice. I'll show the board members after the meeting. So we're excited about that, but that was another large purchase that we at least were seeking funding. But because of that REF grant, we were able to take that on last year's budget.
Right, so we're hoping that the grant money would cover, I think, maybe 2 years of the lease.
Yep.
And then the other couple of years of the lease will either see if the REF wants to come up with more of a grant, or we'll have to figure out a way within the budget to cover it. But as you remember, that truck was sorely needed, and we appreciate the REF helping us out with seed money for it. And we'll pass around, the truck's out there now, but you'll see what the painting's going to look like with both the band, and if you look down, the REF logo's on there. Okay, I guess that's it. Yep.
Thank you. Any board members have any questions? Okay, not hearing any.
Well, I have one. On the switches, are we taking delivery of those switches this year?
They've already been installed.
Oh, they've been installed.
Yeah, so over the summer, we closed down our network for, I want to say 48 hours. The guys from our IT department, working with the contractors who put them in, were faster than expected.
Yeah.
So the project was very successful. Our IT department was great in that one weekend, being able to work to get it done. That our summer programs and our summer operation were not really impacted by the new infrastructure.
Those were across the district, right? It wasn't
Across the district, yes.
Great. Any other questions?
Sorry,
All right, Mr. Bogosian, you want to move those?
I'd like to move motions 1 through 5 under finance.
Mr. Racine first, you have a second. Mr. Sprayberry? Please call the roll.
Mr. Bogosian,
Yes.
Mrs. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Healy,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Mazzone,
Yes.
Dr. Racine,
Yes.
Mr. Sprayberry.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Motion carried.
Moving on to policy, Mr. Healy.
Yes, we did not have committee meetings since our last board meeting, and there are no motions for this evening.
Very good. Thank you.
That's good.
Moving on to buildings and grounds, Mr. Sprayberry.
We had a building ground committee prior to the last board meeting. Those minutes are in the packet. I will absent the building with that.
Good. Mr. Hurley, anything for policy?
No. Yeah, but, we'll probably be getting some policies from Strauss SMA, probably the next month or so. We'll go from there. And we have a couple of little cleanup things I want to get done, but I'll wait till the next, packet. None of them are critical. So we'll do that when the next packet comes up.
Very good. Old business? Mrs. Joe?
Mr. Healy and I attended the new teacher luncheon, which was wonderful. It was always nice to see new faces and to welcome them to our school, as Mr. Healy said, and we're so glad that you chose us. And I also was able to attend the opening day. Both Matt Woodford and Mr. Healy spoke with me. It was very nice. I'm always so proud to go to that and to hear them. So it was nice. It's only 3 days from school. I haven't got too much old business.
Yeah, I'll just add, yes, I was explaining that we're very proud of our employees and tried to name the different levels, and I forgot the principals, and Mr. Marone reminded me.
Mr. Brown, yeah. Well, if you're going to forget one, he's the guy you should forget.
But it was, I was glad I attended. It was very nice event. Thank you.
Just take a note, 36 minutes into the meeting.
Anything for
No.
Okay. If there's no other old business, I'd like to move on to the legislative update.
Senate Bill 3485, introduced on June 24th, 2024, by Senator Anthony M. Bucco, District 25, Morris of Passaic. Safer Students Act requires school districts, charter schools, non-public schools, contracted service providers, and institutions of higher education to review employment history of prospective employees for allegations of child abuse or sexual misconduct. Don't they do that?
Yes, I was going to say it's an election year, so people say one of the things. We've had what we call pass the trash law in the state for probably 6 or 7 years now. So anybody, and I have to fill them out for anybody who ever worked here, applies for any job that deals with kids anywhere in the state. They could have been a lunch monitor 35 years ago, and we get the form, and we have to, we have a certain amount of time statutorily. So I'm not sure if there's one category in that bill that isn't in the other, but
I figured you were going to say something.
that's been the norm. Yeah.
For my own information too. Thank you.
Thank you for that. The time is now 7:38 p.m. I'd like to open the meeting up to the public again for any item on the agenda or otherwise. Okay.
They're choosing. They're choosing. Sorry. They're choosing it out.
Hey, quick.
Yeah, if you would come up to the microphone, please state your name, address, and if you would, limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Sure.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen DeBella. I'm at 132 Carmita Avenue in Rutherford, New Jersey.
I'm Clara Jameson. I'm at 147 Home Avenue, Rutherford, New Jersey.
We just want to take a moment to introduce ourselves in person. We have done so virtually, but we are the co-leads of the Rutherford Special Education Parents Advisory Group. We wanted to thank you all for your openness and receptiveness to the group. We're here to help the parents, but most importantly, the students, and want to make sure that we're helping to understand what special education students are needing and challenges that might be arising in the district. We're working with Ms. Hohen, and we're pleased to have the opportunity to work with the district to systemically support students with disabilities across Rutherford. If you have any questions or would like to learn more about our work, please reach out to Ms. Hohen or Mr. Hurley, and we'll be happy to chat with you. But we just wanted to say hello, let you know that we're here, and we're really excited to be part of the community.
For real people.
So yeah, that's all.
If I may, first of all, I thank you for taking the initiative to get this program. That's always been in existence. It got kind of dormant for a number of years. It used to be a very active group. And I think, it was one of the casualties of COVID, and, a lot of the groups stopped meeting and things kind of slip away. And some of the folks, some of the parents who were the key movers and shakers, their students have moved on and they moved on. I think it's an important group because it is a collaborative. A lot of times you think about, there's going to be advocacy, which there will be, and but this is really a collaboration with this special ed department and the parents to understand needs and understand programs and opportunities, and also to present to parents and for the board's knowledge bits of information that maybe they don't have, not only within district, but in the state and in the area. So I thank you for, taking the initiative to get it going again. I know you had a meeting with Ms. Owen. I know we had said that we would meet at some point, and we will, but Ms. Owen told me she was so thorough that, but we will meet with Ms. Owen at some point. And you did get a table right at the back to school nights, so that I think each of the principals will let people know that you're there. So if parents want to find out more about it or get involved, they can come up and see you. So again, thank you for getting involved.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, if there are no other members of the public present at 7:41 p.m., I'd like to close the open public meeting. No need for an executive session. No need for an executive session. So I believe any motion or and I have a motion.
Mr. Motion.
That's what I was doing.
You folks had a twitch.
Jones. All right, at 7:41, it's a wrap.
Thank you.
Thank